Chinese philosophy is a vast and ancient intellectual tradition characterized by its practical focus on ethics, social order, and the human relationship with the cosmos. Chinese thought is deeply concerned with achieving harmony within the self, in society, and with the natural world. This focus originated during the turbulent 7th century BC, referred to as the 100 Schools of Thought period, where thinkers sought solution to widespread social chaos and war. The golden age of Chinese philosophy wasn't born in a time of peace. It was born directly from a period of profound crisis. For several centuries after the old Zhou dynasty collapsed, China was plunged into chaos, constant warfare, and social breakdown. This was known as the Spring and Autumn and the Warring States periods. It was in direct response to this chaos that Chinese philosophy flourished. A movement known as the 100 Schools of Thought emerged. You can think of these schools as competing doctors, each offering a different diagnosis for what was wrong with society and a unique prescription on how to fix it. And almost all of them were trying to answer the same overwhelmingly practical question: what is Tao, or the way, to a well-ordered family, a stable government, and a harmonious world? Their focus wasn't on abstract questions about nature of reality. It was on ethics, politics, and understanding human nature. These philosophers were hands-on. They traveled from state to state, advising rulers and trying to get their ideas put into practice. This is what makes classical Chinese thought so unique. It was a search for a real-world practical remedy for a broken world, which is very different from the often more metaphysical or abstract concerns that we see in a lot of early Greek and Indian philosophy. The philosophical landscape in China is a vibrant intellectual battlefield, with Confucianism, Daoism, Legalism, and Mohism emerging as the most powerful and enduring contenders. Confucius lived between 551 and 479 BCE, was China's most influential philosopher. His philosophy of ethical humanism, widely regarded as Confucianism, believed that the social order is restored by a return to traditional values and ritual propriety, emphasized moral cultivation to become an exemplary person through virtues like humaneness, righteousness, and filial piety. His teachings are collected in the Analects, also called as Lanyu. Mèngzǐ lived between the periods 372 to 289 BC, followed his master's Confucianism, and argued that human nature is inherently good and that rulers must govern with the benevolence to win the mandate of heaven. His teachings are recorded in the Mencius. Zhuangzi lived between 313 and 238 BCE, was a major Confucius thinker who took a realist position, arguing that the human nature is inherently bad or disordered and requires correction through strict education, ritual, and law. His ideas influenced the legalists. Lǎo Zǐ lived between 570 and 490 BC, was a semi-legendary figure traditionally credited with the authoring of Daoism, the classic of the way and its power. His prominent philosophy of Daoism advocated a return to a natural, simple way of life in harmony with the Tao, the ineffable natural principle of the universe. Championed this concept of Wu Wei, effortless action or non-action. Zhuāng Zǐ lived between 369 and 286 BCE, was a brilliant Taoist writer who expanded on the themes of Daoism. He used witty parables and paradoxes to question conventional values and advocate for spiritual freedom and spontaneity. The book Zhuangzi is largely attributed to him. Mèngzǐ lived between 470 and 391 BCE and founded a disciplined movement called Mohism that challenged Confucianism, advocated impartial care or universal love as the basis for ethics, arguing one should care for all people equally, a utilitarian who judged actions based on the benefit to the state and people. Zhang Yang, a statesman of the state of Qin, whose reforms laid the groundwork for its eventual unification of China, advocated for absolute adherence to strict, publicly known laws and harsh punishments to control the populace. Han Fei, a philosopher who lived between the period 280 and 233 BCE, is considered the foremost synthesizer of legalist thought. A student of Zhuangzi argued that the ruler must govern not by moral example, but by mastering two handles of reward and punishment, employing statecraft and relying on the power of his position and the law. His writings are collected in Han Fei. The short and brutal rule of the Qin dynasty taught China a very important lesson. You can't run a country on harsh principles of legalism alone. It's just not sustainable. You'll quickly lose the support of the people. So the next dynasty, the Han, learned from this mistake. They officially made Confucianism the state philosophy. Confucianism offered a much more humane and positive vision for society, emphasizing respect, tradition, and moral leadership, which is better for the long-term stability. But here's the twist. To actually run a massive empire, Han still needed the efficient and sometimes ruthless methods of the legalists for things like taxes, laws, and social control. This led to a governing philosophy that's famously described as Confucian on the outside, legalist on the inside. Publicly, the government talked and acted like a Confucian, promoting education, morality, and respect. But behind the scenes, the actual machinery of the state, the laws, the bureaucracy, and the exercise of power was often powered by a legalist engine. Now, living in this demanding system could be incredibly stressful for officials and intellectuals. And this is where Daoism played its crucial role. Daoism offered a philosophical and spiritual escape. It was a path to find. Daoism offered philosophical and spiritual escape. It was a path to find personal harmony and freedom, a way to get away from the rigid duties of Confucian public life and harsh realities of the legalist politics. This created a stable three-part balance that defined imperial China for the next 2,000 years. You can think of it like a three-legged stool. Confucianism was the public ideal, legalism was the practical method of ruling, and Daoism was a personal retreat. I hope this content was beneficial to you. Thank you for watching this video. Please do like, share your comments, subscribe for more content like this.